Or across the Atlantic, Clara Greenlee was having an irritating afternoon.
As I was trying to swat a fly that had been around aggravating us for I don't know how long, why, I turned to look at my neighbor, and when I did, why, I seen right outside the screen in that direction this ball of lightning. I didn't know what it was. Why, it appeared, the size of probably a basketball, or maybe a little larger, and it started, the color of it was like orange, more or less, and it had like a halo around the edges of it. So just about the time that I was talking to my neighbor about this fly, it came in and I hit down, and when I did, this ball of lightning, it fell to the floor, rolled around a little, and exploded and made a terrible sound, I guess about like a shotgun. And my neighbor looked at me and said, "That ought to got him."
Ball lightning terrified peasants and killed a pig in Salignac, France in 1845. Diane de Poitiers was chased by it on her wedding night in 1557. In St. Petersburg, Professor Richman was killed by it. And at Gorges de Loup in France in 1901, ball lightning disrupted dinner. In 1868, a Viennese eyewitness painted what he saw. At Edinburgh University, ball lightning apparently penetrated a window of the meteorology department. And at Castleford in Yorkshire, it was photographed during a storm at 2 o'clock in the morning. At Los Alamos, birthplace of the atomic bomb, dramatic clues to the mystery of ball lightning have been found by James Tuck.
Hi, Mr. Tuck. How are you?
How are you?
Fine. A little cold.
Professor Tuck has distilled its characteristics from eyewitness reports.
This ball, very characteristically, floats through the air like this. The ball, on the average, is about a foot in diameter. Sometimes there are people who say they've seen it a yard in diameter, and there are some people who claim they've seen it about the size of a walnut. It's not very bright, about the brightness of a 100-watt lamp. Now that's pretty bright at night, remember, but in the daytime it's nothing special. It's said to make a fizzing, buzzing noise. It lasts, on the whole, on the average, about 5 seconds.
Stories from the U.S. Navy submarine service put Tuck onto an experiment. Submariners told him how clumsy switching of the batteries could produce fireballs which often burnt their legs. At Los Alamos, Tuck persuaded some colleagues to help him in the lunch hour to try to manufacture ball lightning. For on the very premises where he had helped build the atomic bomb, Tuck had discovered they had a gigantic submarine battery, as big as a power station, but now redundant. One day, the last before the battery was due to be dismantled, they decided to surround the switchgear with a small concentration of methane gas.
Well, we set out this experiment with a cellophane box around the switchgear, and we were all behind the sandbags about 50 feet away from the switchgear. We had the cameras rolling, and we took the picture. And I'd made a bit of a blunder, a small mistake about the right gas concentration in this box, with the result that instead of the gas merely serving as some kind of component in any future ball lightning that we hope to make, the warming by the arc caused it to explode in a mild way. Now, the arc itself makes a big noise, but what happened was the whole thing went wharumph like this, lifted the roof a little, and we were all staring at this with our jaws dropped round our ankles in horror. Well, then that was the experiment, and that was over, and we did a little illegal champagne drinking and said, well, it was a good try. We didn't succeed, folks. And that was that. Colour film of this kind has to be processed elsewhere, and when it came back from the lab and we examined the last film, to our profound astonishment, there was an object on it. We could see the explosion and so on, but there was an object which came along towards us, bounced on the floor, went off the frame. It had a diameter of about 10, say, 3 inches in diameter. It was on 150 frames of the film. Both cameras showed it, went behind something and came out again on the other side. It floated. It didn't fade. It kept the same brightness. I must say that that it had a lot of characteristics of ball lightning. Can I say, as a scientist, that we made ball lightning? I'm afraid not, because an honest scientist must repeat it over and over and find the conditions for when it does it and when it doesn't. But this was an ex post facto affair. We couldn't repeat it. So all I can say is I think, if I were asked honestly, had we made ball lightning, I would say at a 50-50 chance we had.
Ball lightning involves matter at very high temperatures, the so-called plasma state found in the cosmic furnaces of the stars. Through its study, we may be able to create here on Earth sources of infinite power, and then our energy problems will be over forever.
Man, Viktor Yushchik, a Polish exile who now lives in Blackpool, was on the run from a Russian prison camp. As he wandered across Mongolia, he came face to face with a wild man.
For a moment I was terrified and at the same time excited. He was very broad. He's got no hair on his face. He's got wide mouth. He is a Mongolian and Eskimo type. Very broad white teeth. His look is, you never see anything look like that. This is Stone Age man.
This wild man was reportedly shot by Russian soldiers that same year. A Red Army colonel, V.S. Karapetyan, said its shape was human, but its eyes were dull like an animal's.
One of the foremost authorities